Severed lines. BTC workers apply to disengage with the company. Weekend washout. After days of darkness, BEC enlightens the public on what happened and the way forward. Act of contrition. A killer looks for mercy. The Bahamas tonight. The National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Staff cuts are getting closer for employees of the Bahamas Telecommunications Company. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Saunders. Now, today was the deadline for staff at the telecom giant to decide if they would accept voluntary separation packages. Tonight, Cleopatra Murphy explores the next step for the union and for the workers.
Employees of the Bahamas Telecommunications Company had until 5 p.m. to accept voluntary separation packages, but Union President Bernard Evans says he believes the program will be undersubscribed. He says the company's 786 employees are in no rush to be without a job, given the country's current economic climate. Still, he adds that there is uncertainty about what will happen to those who applied, but BTC does not approve for voluntary separation.
There's a lot who are uncertain and feel as if that they ought to take advantage of this opportunity. But there's still a lot of people who know what the circumstances is out there after BTC, that they can, and 2 years pay, whether it's 2 years or 77 weeks or whatever it is, can't really sustain them in the long run. And so it's very, very difficult for them to accept that.
Employees who disengage will get a 1.5-year premium coverage for medical insurance and a small stipend for retraining. The BCPOU attempted to secure several sweeteners, such as security for those who apply for the package, but were turned down. But Evans says the union did not get all it wanted.
We got some movement on that. I think members were given up to 2 years or to the life of the contract, which will expire March 31st, 2017, if in fact they are denied the VSEP. They have that protection up until that time. The health insurance was another one. As you know, health insurance is very, very, very important.
As expected, Evans says packages offered to executive management are more favorable over what was offered to line staff. In the meantime, the union is awaiting the outcome of this downsizing exercise. Evans says he is not sure the exact date employees will be disengaged.
The fiscal year for VTC is March 31st. They might want to make some changes, not to appear on their books for that particular period, for that fiscal period. And so it's not us determining when they would like to have those disengagements. But again, we stand to see exactly how many persons apply for the package and what we have left.
As many as 150 people could be out of a job at the end of the exercise. Evans says BTC officials have said they are not targeting a specific number, but addressing a cost issue. BTC has said it's cutting staff ahead of competition. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Also today, BEC officials focused on the maintenance of generators following this weekend's island-wide blackouts. On Friday, a fire plunged the capital into darkness, and up to yesterday, BEC had restored power to 95% of its consumers. Tonight, our Jimenita Swain tells us what the corporation plans to do now as it picks up the pieces.
While we haven't received an official word on what caused the fire at the Blue Hills plant last Friday that plunged thousands of Bahamas Electricity Corporation customers into darkness, the corporation's chairman Leslie Miller said the week started off with technicians maintaining generators at the Blue Hills and Clifton Pair plants.
We're going to do some remedial work all week to make sure that this does not reoccur. We're also going to get some new generators that's going to be in here in the next 4 to 5 weeks to make sure that we are safe for the summer. All of the engines at Blue Hills now, just but all of them are up and running, and Clifton is up and running because we have some engines that has to be serviced this year. We will service those engines completely to ensure that we have no blackouts this summer. The minister has given us a mandate: you either get it right or be gone. We intend to get it right.
Mr. Miller apologized to New Providence customers on the island-wide blackouts this weekend and ensured that the problem won't happen again. Also apologetic was President of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union, Paul Maynard, who set the record straight with regards to who may have been at fault.
It was not our fault. It happens. These things happen. And, the general manager and the deputy general manager will be addressing you on that. That ain't my problem. Everybody knows what the problem is. Once you change the equipment, once you change the fuel, we on track, natural gas, we good to go. That's it.
He said employees worked around the clock to restore service to residents.
We had guys at a 7-8 Venice. They didn't go home on Friday night. Didn't go home Saturday either. Wait till Sunday morning to get this iron back up. Out of dedication.
By 2:30 Sunday, the last 5% of BEC customers were reconnected. BEC officials say with the additional engines now in service, there is sufficient capacity to meet customer demand. And barring any unforeseen challenges, corporation officials are confident they will be able to maintain a consistent supply of electricity going forward. Jiminita Swain, ZNS Network News.
In news from the courts, a man learned his fate today after pleading guilty to the brutal murder of a 17-year-old Enrico Major. And as Fern Carey tells us tonight, the convict expressed remorse for the crime, but he did not get a favorable response from relatives of the deceased.
Justice Bernard Turner sentenced Dwayne Lockhart to 24 years in prison Monday after the 36-year-old pleaded guilty to the brutal stabbing death of 17-year-old Enrico Major near the S.C. McPherson Junior High School last June. The tragedy unfolded while the victim's 18-year-old friend was running an errand for a relative. Police say their friend was approached and attacked by a man he knew. He left the area and sometime later he returned with Enrico. And that's when police say the culprit attacked both teens with a cutlass. 17-year-old Major died at the scene. Before sentence was passed, Lockhart turned to the victim's mother, Kevin Major, who was sitting in court, and apologized. He explained that he never intended to harm her son and pleaded guilty in order to bring closure to the matter. However, Lockhart's words only seemed to make Major angry. She stood up and angrily asked Lockhart why, after taking her son's life, all he was able to say was sorry. Her angry outburst prompted police to ask her to leave the court. Meantime, Lockhart's sentence takes effect immediately. It was reduced by 1 year due to time served. Now, Lockhart's co-accused, Kervin Neely, still maintains his innocence. He goes on trial on Wednesday. Fern Carey, ZNS Network News.
Still at the courts, a judge remanded 2 teenagers to prison today after being formally charged with murder and attempted murder. 18-year-old Keith Allen and 18-year-old Deanna Nixon are accused of killing Henry Johnson and Renato Johnson back on February 16th. They're also accused of attempting to kill Pedro Colley and Davis Strawn. They were not called on to enter a plea to the charges. Bail was denied and they were remanded to prison. They returned to court on May 29th for a service of voluntary bill of indictment papers, meaning the matter will head directly to Supreme Court for trial. Following the arraignment, both defendants alleged police brutality. Also, a judge has refused to grant bail to a 40-year-old man, Mr. Andrew Knowles. Knowles was convicted of the manslaughter death of his friend, Delshawn Bullard. Bullard was shot outside the Audley Camp Bar on East Street North and Hay Street 5 years ago. During today's proceedings, Knowles' attorney, Muriel DeSeal, requested that he be released on bail, noting that Knowles has broken ribs and a broken hand and also needs surgery. However, Justice Bernard Turner was not swayed. He noted that Knowles can receive the medical attention he needs at the prison. Prosecutor Kashana Marshall appeared for the Crown. Knowles returns to court on May 7th for sentencing. Coming up, double down. Tourism sees some record numbers. Find out what it means for you. And spinning strategy. The Minister for Gaming maps out the plan for the industry. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Lux Men's Warehouse.